Right.
Do this shit.
Yeah, let's do it. Welcome everyone to Cinema Regulars, the movie review show where we see so many movies in theaters that the employees know us by name and they don't ask us what movies we're seeing, they ask us how many. Now today we are very fresh off our day of movies, getting this out to you hot and fresh as we can. Today we will be looking at the new Mel Gibson produced and directed movie Flight Risk with Mark Wahlberg.
Mhm.
And then we'll be following up with The Presence, a first person ghost story. And then we will be finishing up with the newest Angel Studios movie, Brave the Dark. As always, guys, feel free to use the timestamps below to skip around to your favorite movie or just jump straight to the rankings if that's all you care about. But without further ado, let us get rolling right into our first movie, Flight Risk. Isaac, if you will take us away, please.
Absolutely, as always. A U.S. Marshal boards a small plane to transfer a government witness to New York. As they cross the Alaskan wilderness, tensions start to rise as not everyone on the flight is who they appear to be.
So
That's a
Mark
that's a
Wahlberg.
pretty good. Mark
I
Wahlberg.
was Did he actually shave his head? It looked a little too smooth and it looked a little
No,
patchy.
no, no. He did not shave his head. It's absolutely a bald cap.
It would be really funny if he did.
You can easily tell because I there's a close up moment of his face where like it comes down like from here, his forehead's all wrinkly, but then like in a V from right here, it's perfectly smooth.
Yeah. It was funny to look at though. And
It was really
I gotta
funny.
say, he was probably the best part of the movie.
Oh, he absolutely was.
I can only
Like,
lament
I'm
that
not even gonna.
he wasn't in it more.
True. Like I do have to say, like watching Topher Grace's character be kind of a whiny little bitch through the whole movie had its moments.
He was pretty funny, actually.
Like he was. Like
I did like his little comments that he made.
like when he's trying to get her attention when like they put the headphones on and he's just like having a like playing with her
Yeah,
conversation.
me. Yeah, I thought that was really
If we,
funny.
if we were cousins, we'd probably already be married. It was
Yeah,
pretty good. And like the side characters were pretty cool. So the general premise of this movie, since we skipped right over that, is basically that Mark Wahlberg is a hitman that has been hired to kill this witness. And he effectively hijacks this plane. I guess he doesn't even really hijack it technically, because he's the one who gets it in the air. So they're up in the air on their way to, this other airport to transport this witness.
yeah.
And they discover that he's a hitman. Who, by the way, does this for free. That is crazy.
Yeah.
Like that line is like it's like I do it for free and for fun. And it's like or it's I do it for fun and I do it for free. Something like that. That like is such a cool character.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
The
he had a lot of cool lines like that. There was another one where he was like wrapping the strap around her throat and he asked the guy, do you ever seen a face turn this color?
Yeah. And then him just constantly fucking with them through the movie. Like he wakes up after she tases him unconscious to the point of leaving a burn mark, like a massive burn mark. Dude was smoking.
Mm-hmm.
And he
That was
wakes
really
up and the
cool.
first thing and then he wakes up and the first words out of his mouth is y'all need a pilot.
Yeah.
Like he was a great he did such a good job playing that unhinged character.
Yeah, he was pretty good as like the hick persona that he was putting on originally.
Mm-hmm.
And
He
before the
has a very
switch,
good southern accent.
yeah. And then the switch that he did into the other one, pretty good as well.
Oh, I love that moment where he's like talking to her in the southern drawl, and then like from one sentence to the next, he like just drops in and goes, "You don't believe that, do you?" And just like, oh, it was so good.
Hmm.
I really liked that. I also kind of liked, like, I did really like Topher Grace's character. Like, it was pretty good. I can't remember. Winston, was it?
Instant.
Winston was his name? Yeah. Oh, yeah, because he keeps calling him Winnie through the whole movie. Uh, he had a decent, like, development through the movie. Like, because he starts off just being like a little, like a whiny boy. And, like, by the end of, like, he, kind of works with the courage to like stab the guy, and then he's like
Yeah.
feeling remorse for what he's done. Like it's pretty.
It's
It's a good like character like
it's
development.
playing off the trope of like the enemy of my enemy is my friend, because like being the officer that she was and the criminal that he was, like she had him like in chains escorted on here, and then
Hmm.
like halfway through the movie she's just like, okay, I completely trust you, I'm setting you free, and we're in this together now. Like
Yeah,
it's the dire circumstance that pushes everything else out the window.
exactly. I also really liked the pilot that was like helping her walk through
Oh yeah,
like how to fly the
Hassan.
plane. Hassan was great. Like, dude's first thing, and I love what he's doing actually, because it's not just dudes trying to get like a date or whatever. Like, if that were to happen in real life, in the sense of like someone who has no idea how to fly a plane suddenly has to fly a plane,
Yeah.
that's how they would, I mean, not exactly, but that's how they would talk to you. Like, they'd make jokes. Because you need to be as calm as you possibly can be, as relaxed as you can in
Yeah.
those moments.
So whether he was actually serious about that or not, I think like smoothly flirting with her and like setting up a date for the two of them after
Yeah.
they land was a good move to like keep her calm. And also it was
Mhm.
pretty funny.
It was very entertaining. I actually quite enjoyed that.
Yeah.
I I really liked that, like, once the movie got in the plane, it didn't leave.
Yeah.
Like, cause they could have done like, oh, she's calling DC and it cuts to her boss and all this
Mhm.
stuff, or it could have cut to Hassan and everything. Like, no, once they got in the plane, it was just the plane.
Yeah. So there's another movie that I like that is very similar to that in the aspect. It's called Locke,
Okay.
Locke, and it
Hmm.
stars uh Tom Hardy,
Okay.
and he's driving on his way to uh the birth of his new child,
Hmm.
and he's got like 14 different people that he's having phone calls with on the way there. And like it takes place entirely in the car, and it's just him
Ooh.
trying to juggle all the issues and problems that he's like in the middle of and kind of interrupted by on his way over
That's pretty
there.
good.
It
Sounds cool.
is
I'm gonna have to
really
watch that.
good. But it's a lot like this, where all the other characters are just voices over the phones,
Mhm.
and the conversations and context of that help build onto the story outside of just what we see.
Yeah.
So it's a very interesting premise.
Yeah, it very very much is. This movie was very entertaining. Like, I mean, it had some slow moments, some moments where I'm like, "All right, be funny again, please." Like, or have something happen, and it's kind of they were far and few between, but there were still a few moments that made me be a little like, "All right, come on, pick it up." Like, this
Yeah.
was this was our probably second longest movie we had today. No, yeah,
Yeah, we had pretty short ones today, didn't we?
the longest one was Brave the Dark, at sitting at 2 hours. Shockingly enough, Presents only an hour 25.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting. It didn't feel like it.
No, it did not. We'll get to that later. But no, this movie, while it has its while it has its lulls, uh, it just had a lot of fun moments that just kind of kept it going, and I really enjoyed it. Plus, I mean, I'm a fan of Topher Grace in things. I really like Topher Grace as much as I like Mark Wahlberg as well. Like I really like Mark Wahlberg. But I used to watch that '70s show as a kid. So like it's always cool to see him pop up once every like 5 years and something.
Yeah. So this wasn't anything spectacular, clearly.
No.
I think it's just a fun flick. Something to throw on Netflix in the background, or just watch for like movie night or something. This is abso-fucking-lutely gonna end up in the Walmart $5 bin, and I'm gonna
Oh,
grab
so
it. I'm gonna grab it.
yes. It's gonna be there within the year. Like I'm not even like within a year of it hitting shelves, it will be in that $5 bin. I can guarantee you.
Oh yeah.
It's one of
Yeah.
those ones where you pick it up. It's one of those ones where you pick it up and I'm like, "Oh, Mark Wahlberg, cool." And then
Yeah.
you either put it back down and you're like, "Oh, why not?" Like it's that kind of thing. Like
Yeah,
it's
I'll pick this up and put it in the fucking action shelf or whatever.
no, exactly. Yeah, like it's that kind of thing where it's just it's nothing huge. It's we've had a lot of these in the past year. Like even last year we had a lot of these. We had Killer's Game, Beekeeper, those types of things where it's just a fun action flick.
Yeah.
Like it just exists to entertain people, which is something that movies don't like to do a lot these days. Like
Real.
they all have they have to be huge or deep in meaning, or they have to be pandering, or they have to make sure they do all the right stuff. Like it's I mean, part of that is due to the fact that
Or
streaming
just
has
bad.
well, yeah. Well, part of the reason is that streaming has drastically changed how the movie market works, especially in terms of making a profit.
Yeah.
Because they used to do the movie. The movie would be in theaters for a few months, like 2 to 3, like usually like 2 to 3 months, and then it would go on sale as a DVD a couple months later. And then you'd get you'd get the box office sales, and then you get a whole nother chunk of DVD sales from people that want to buy it and buy it there and watch it, that don't want to go to the theater.
Right.
So but now that streaming exists, things are on streaming almost immediately after the movie leaves theaters. And so
Yeah.
I mean, it depends on what company. Like if it's a Paramount movie, it's gonna be on Paramount Plus within the month of it leaving
Yeah.
theaters.
Sonic
Sometimes
3
even
Sonic 3 is already on streaming right now.
really already?
Yeah.
That's insane, actually.
And it's still
Oh,
doing
like
numbers in the box office anyways.
it's absolutely it is, yes. But as it should. But it's like you can't take risks anymore. There's a really cool interview that Matt Damon did where he breaks down this whole thing that I'm trying to explain and not doing a very good job of explaining. Because Matt Damon used to be in all like, the Hollywood, guy meets a girl and falls in love kind of stories. Like that was his bread and butter. You can't just do that anymore because A, it's existed a million times now, and B, like you make the movie expecting it not to make all of your money back in the box office because you'll get the DVD sales. Well, now you're not even guaranteed the DVD sales anymore. So they can't take as many risks as they used to.
Yeah. We're getting a bit off track here.
We are, unfortunately. Sorry. I don't really have much else to say about this movie in and of itself. Like, again, it was just a very entertaining movie.
Yeah. The Mark Wahlberg getting fucking hit by a truck and then just butchered under the tires was fucking crazy though.
Yeah. That was insane. Like just watching him just like he tuck and rolls, comes up, bank with the freaking fire truck and then just gets rolled under the tires. Oh,
Yeah, that was crunchy as fuck.
it really was.
Yeah. So, nothing too flashy here. Pretty decent movie. I think we could probably just roll straight into the rankings.
Yeah,
Good.
absolutely.
Okay. So, without a whole lot much to say here, Flight Risk is going to clock in at a pretty low 6 out of 10 for me. And 6 out of 10 isn't bad. It's not anything that you're going to like rave about for, half an hour or longer like we tend to do with other movies. But it's a nice watch. It's a fun watch, and you just enjoy your time. And there's not just a whole lot more to say about that.
Yeah. I'm gonna give this movie a 6 out of 10 as well. Like, it's nothing huge. It's nothing flashy. This is usually where I put these types of movies. Like, it's where I put pretty much all like the ones I mentioned earlier, Beekeeper, Killer's Game, all that. It's pretty much where I put all of those because they're nothing huge. You don't like. There's not a lot where you're just like, oh, that was really good. Like, no, it's just like, that was fun.
Yeah.
You just kind of shut your brain off and enjoy it.
Yeah. All right, wrapping that one up quick. Let us move on to our longer section of the podcast here with the presents. Not the presents, just presents.
Yeah, just presents. I was gonna correct you on that.
Yeah. It feels like there should be a but no, it's presents.
It's because there's another movie with the name.
It's called The Presents, and you're just like, ooh, I didn't want to.
Yeah. A family moves into a suburban house and becomes convinced they're not alone.
Wow. Okay. So, allow me to do Google Summary's job for them. This is basically a first-person point of view ghost story. So you follow as if the ghost was the cameraman around the house of this new family that moves in. And the girl, the youngest daughter, is quite upset because her friend and someone else that she knew had just been found dead a few months ago. They found drugs in their system, and they had just stopped breathing in the middle of the night. And as we follow the spirit around the house as they're watching just everything unfold, it's a very, very, very slow burn movie. It's very low key, and it's more of a drama and a tragedy than it is a horror movie, even though it's billed as a ghost story.
Yeah, I think it being tagged as a horror and a psychological thriller.
Is it?
It is. On here,
not a
Presence,
horror.
R-rated 2024 horror psychological thriller. The reason
That's wrong.
I think it's categorized that way is because that is what people expect when they see the trailer for this. So they go to see it, and then as they watch it, granted, it is a little misleading, but like as they watch it, they realize that this is more of a drama tragedy type thing.
So you went into this assuming it was going to be a horror movie. I went into this assuming it was going to be like a drama tragedy. A24 came out with a movie kind of like this called A Ghost Story, and it's more of just like a sad, somber, drama movie than it is actual like spooky ghost. It's more like sad ghost. So I went in assuming it was going to be more like that, and I was right. The writing in this, like the family that the spirit is watching and all their drama unfolding before it, it is expertly written, and nearly every single scene has some aspect that ties into the overarching thing and the twist at the end. Like it either hints to that, foreshadows that, or it's like compiling onto the story of what's happening.
Like, we just watched it today, and I want to watch it again to get all that stuff.
Right, it's one of those movies where like you watch it the first time and then you get the twist and then you want to watch it again knowing the twist and see how that reconfigures or recontextualizes a lot of the scenes.
That's how a twist should be.
Real.
A twist in a movie, a twist in a movie cannot just be a twist where you throw it in there for no reason. A good example of this. I mean, it's kind of a random example, but stick with me here. A good example of just throwing in a twist just to have a twist is like that dude that his name is escaping me. The bad guy in Frozen. Like, they just make him a bad guy out of nowhere.
I would have said like Scream.
That's also another
where they're
one.
just like,
Scream.
oh, there's two killers. A twist. Like, oh, that's genius. That makes sense. But it's something like this where it's like Slingshot, where after once you know what the twist is and you watch it again with that knowledge, it recontextualizes a lot of it and it makes you think more about each scene. And and Presence is exactly like that. Like,
it is.
This is something I'm definitely going to want to own and then watch multiple times. Because I had this happen again with Slingshot, that like every time I watch it, I pick up on something to think about a little more. And I feel like Presence would be the same.
Yeah, there's a lot of like they're throwaway in the scenes, but there's a lot of like things that they say and things that they point out that don't, when I look back at it, it's like that feels intentional now.
Yeah.
Like one of the ones that stuck with me was that they point out specifically that the mirror on the wall, like, because they get to this house and there's a wall with like a mirror on it that is like aim with the house. And they specifically note that it's a silver nitrate mirror.
Mm-hmm.
And like mirrors have a lot of lore when it comes to like spirits and things like that as well. Like there's almost too many movies to count that have spirits with mirrors. There's a whole movie about a spirit in a mirror, which is called Oculus. Like
that movie sucked.
It did suck, but you know what I'm saying.
You just watched it because it was Karen Gillan in it, what didn't you?
Shut up.
I read you like a fucking book I already wrote.
But anyway, like there's things like that. And then also the other thing I love about this movie, besides being expertly written, is beautifully shot. Every single scene, and when I say scene, I mean every single moment between cuts, is 100% a continuous shot.
Yeah,
it is not
every single scene.
Like some of them we can call wipes, like where it goes from like the living room to like the stairs. They'll sometimes go around the door, like they'll go around it, and that could be a wipe, whatever. But like they still follow him up the stairs.
Yeah,
or like it's so good, and to do that puts all of the actors like abilities into context as well. Like,
because the amount of scenes they would have to just like completely redo. Like
if anything goes wrong,
like a 5-minute scene, they would have. If anything goes wrong, they'd have to go all the way back to the beginning. And one thing about the cinematography I noticed too, I don't know, they probably use like some kind of like rig or tracking system or something, but like the camera moves so fluidly, like a ghost like floating down the stairs or
Yeah,
around the corner. It doesn't like bob with footsteps or anything. It kind of just like glides and looks around and pans and then moves to the next room.
yeah. It's got
It's
to be like
very
a steady cam rig
yeah, it's
or
very
something like that.
floaty. And it
It's
does it does
so
it
well
does
done.
feel like you're a ghost and just moving effortlessly around the house.
Which is such a cool thing. Like it's so cool to like make a movie where you're in the POV of the whatever supernatural thing
Mhm.
is doing this. It's like I don't want to say it's like In a Violent Nature because I mean In a Violent Nature was close to what this did. Like
Kind of.
cuz you're just cuz In a Violent Nature you're just constantly on this guy rather than this where you're just looking through its eyes. And
Right.
it's not like trying to kill them or anything like a normal
No.
horror movie.
No, this is it's a
That's where the
almost a
horror
passive ghost.
yeah, it's like it's like almost like Casper where he's just kind of
Okay.
like okay, that's a bad analogy, but like he doesn't want to do anything. He's not trying to scare him away or nothing.
Yeah.
Like
So
but
there's a medium or like ghost sensitive woman that comes in, and she says like even the ghost doesn't really know who it is anymore or where it is or why or when it is or how it is. It's just kind of lost and confused in their house. Um, and you went to the bathroom at this scene, so you missed it. But it was a really cool scene, I think, where where she first comes to the door and they open it and greet her, and the ghost camera is like right at the front door, and she looks like directly down the camera and goes and just kind of like gets startled and taken back a bit by the ghost. She can
yeah.
just see it clear as day, and
Yeah.
in that first person like point of view, and like nobody else in the movie is ever looking at the camera because it's literally invisible. And
Yeah.
then the sudden change to someone just like dead-eyed like right at it and then just being taken back. It was a really cool touch.
Yeah. It was, especially knowing the twist. Like that
Yeah.
gasp is a lot
Well,
more.
after the twist, do you think like how much do you think she understood about the situation
Well, that's what I
after being
mean.
able
Like,
to see the ghost?
yeah, that's the crazy thing is like, because if she can actually see it like plain as day, it's not just she can sense the presence and look directly at it.
Yeah.
Like if she can actually see like who the ghost is, that puts an insane amount of like context on that gasp.
Well, they just opened the door. She saw the ghost first.
Oh, okay, I guess then. Okay, never mind then. Because
But
I thought it
like,
was like they were there, like she saw them,
yeah,
and then saw the ghost.
yeah.
But this this is it's almost like you're just watching a family. That's what a majority of this movie is. You're just
Yeah.
watching a family go through its drama. I mean, little things happen here and there. Like there's a moment where like the daughter is in the shower and she had left her textbooks and stuff out, and the
Hmm.
ghost just like picks up the textbooks and like kind of tidies up for her.
Yeah.
Which again, oh my gosh, the again in context of that, like, oh, that's interesting.
It
Oh,
was Fish and
dang,
Wire.
this movie is no, I told you it's Piano Wire.
Nope, you're wrong.
There's music in the background. Did you not hear it?
Nope. I heard the sound of fishing wire.
The sound of what sound does fishing wire make?
Uh, it's like piano sound but spookier. Really.
Uh, but so I mean, I normally we would not talk about the twist in these types of movies.
Yeah.
A
And
majority of what we have to talk about with this movie has to do with the twist.
yes. So if you still want to go see this for yourself, spoiler free, just skip ahead to the next movie or just straight to the rankings because we won't address the twists in the rankings. Um, but I feel like it's kind of necessary that if we are to continue talking about this movie, we'll have to reveal the twist here. So, for fair warning for everyone else.
Maybe even put like a break here, like put an extra like
Maybe.
timestamp to say spoiler section.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Okay.
Um,
So, but spoiler warning, clear as day here.
yeah.
I know you're never gonna put the big red letters,
No,
but
it's too much work. So the ending of the movie reveals that the daughter's boyfriend was trying to drug her and then kill her. Because he's the one actually killing all the girls, like her friends. He had drugged them so that the drugs would show up in their system and then place very, very thin cellophane over their nose and mouth so they would suffocate in their sleep. So it then just looks like, oh, they OD'd and stopped breathing in their sleep and he would get away scot-free. So this would have been
which
like
is it's a brilliant way to kill someone.
yeah,
Like actually diabolically evilly genius.
yeah.
Like that was crazy.
So as that's happening, as he's trying to kill the daughter, the ghost moves downstairs to where the brother was also drugged to sleep by the same guy in order to get himself alone with her. The brother of the movie is woken up by the spirit, and he notices that something's wrong, so he rushes upstairs and sees him trying to kill his sister. So he pretty much spear tackles him. He says, "Get off of her!" Spear tackles him out the window, and they both fall to the concrete and die.
Yeah.
And then we get a time skip to probably like a few weeks later, and it's revealed through the silver-backed mirror that it was the brother's spirit who had come back to, save his sister.
Yeah.
And the medium lady, she had brought this up earlier that like the ghost is confused on when it is or where it is or why. Like the past and the present is kind of blending together, and that's real, fluid
Yeah.
for spirits. So before he had even died, his spirit was haunting the house, to come back and to save his sister from being killed in the first place.
Which is interesting because it's like it's almost like his spirit came. Wow, this is gonna really mess with my head because this is very similar to one of my favorite like paradoxes when you get into time travel stuff.
Mhm.
Is that and it's yes, it's not just because it's a Doctor Who episode,
Oh God.
but there's a paradox called the bootstrap paradox, which is basically like the example used in the show in Doctor Who is that like say a time traveler is a huge fan of Beethoven. He goes back in time to meet him. But when he gets there, he realizes no one knows who Beethoven is. It's almost like Beethoven doesn't exist. But he has all of his like notes, like the sheet music and stuff written down. So he copies out all of the music and gets them published and calls himself Beethoven, and time goes on. And it's almost, and the whole point of it is basically who made that, who decided to have that. And it's because the reason I bring that up is because this is a closed loop.
Yeah, it
Like
is.
like he dies, and like it's a question of because he wouldn't have died if he hadn't saved his sister, but he comes back to make sure he still can save his sister.
Yeah. So it is a
Like
closed loop, so it works.
yeah, it's interesting because it's like because it's almost like I wonder if his spirit came back, like if he came back because he knew he had to come back,
Yeah.
kind of thing. Like it's interesting. I've been sitting here thinking about that, and that's Like
Well,
that could be.
I don't think he
thing.
made the choice to go back in time as a ghost to do that. I
Well,
think
true,
as a
true.
spirit, it just kind of happened, and then
Mhm.
in the time it was happening, he just acted as he would. I don't because they said that they're not even really sure who the ghost himself is. Like he didn't know who he was because it kind of you
Yeah.
lose a lot of your identity or whatever. Um, so I don't even know if he really knew
Which
until
is
the end.
it's just really cool because the whole movie, the daughter is sitting there like I can feel them, like I can feel her because she thinks it's her friend Nadia, the other girl that died,
Yeah.
and like and she feels that because it's like, oh, we were so connected to each other that we have that. But then you realize, oh no, the reason why she's so connected is because it's her own brother.
Mhm.
Like, oh, and then you brought up another scene that was that made a lot of sense once you found out about it.
Yeah, so
Uh,
throughout the movie, the brother is kind of a douchebag. Um, and there's several scenes actually. So there's one scene where he's bragging to his it's really weird. He's bragging to his parents about this prank that he and his friends pulled on this girl and humiliated her. Um, and the daughter reveals that he had sent like he got the girl at school's like nudes or something and he like posted it online, which is a super douche thing to do, and she
yeah,
revealed that to her parents, and the ghost goes upstairs to the brother's room and then just completely trashes it all. So with the context that that's him, that's more like him being reminded of the shitty thing that he did and filled with regret and anger
yeah,
in himself. There's another scene where they're arguing where after that happened and they all go out to the back porch to like get out of the house. um the dad starts yelling at the son because he's arguing with the daughter. And he says, can you ever have your sister's back just once, just one time, can you ever back her up?
yeah,
Which foreshadows for when he saves her life later. And then there's a one line used later in the movie that you really liked and I really liked too.
I loved it.
um, is that the brother said something kind of douchey, and then the dad's really disappointed in him, and he gets up and he says, there's a great man inside of you. I would like to see him sometime, or something like that.
Yeah, it was. I'd like to. Yeah, there's a great man
I'd
inside of you. I'd
I'd
like to
like
see him
to
sometime.
I'd like to meet him one day or something like that.
Something to that effect. But that's such a good. Not only is that a good line, that's such a good like motivator, like dad line.
Hmm.
Like just you're trying to get through to your kid to realize that what they're doing is not great.
Yeah,
And but like
and
so cool.
the mom
Oh
is
my god, the mom.
such a bitch. She's
She's
terrible.
awful. She's literally the worst character in the whole movie. And I'm not and yes, I am including the killer. I'm not even kidding. I'm not even kidding. Cause at least you don't realize that one is is a bad person till the end. Mom is actively involved in something illegal, putting her marriage and her family at risk. She's literally scenes of her deleting emails. She completely ignores her daughter for her son, who's the successful one.
Yeah, so the son is like good at swimming, so he's at like swim meets and stuff, and he wins all these trophies and all that. So she's like uber proud. I don't want
Kind of
to. I don't
stereotypical.
want to say we never mentioned it. Okay, colorblind podcast here. But the family is Asian, except
Except
for
for
the
the dad.
dad. But the mom is so obsessed with the son's success and like, oh, he's such a big athlete star, he's got all these trophies, he's such a winner, and she's so like obsessed with everything that he's doing. And she
Yeah.
like to the point of just like neglecting her daughter outright, who's just like sad and depressed because her friend, now that we know, was murdered. And
Yeah.
literally several times in the movie she's just like, we just gotta let her be, we just gotta let her deal with it on her own. and then it's just like, so your idea is not do anything ever.
Oh,
And I was
exactly.
like,
There's
damn,
literally a scene,
damn.
literally a scene where she's talking with her son, and she tells him, "The day I saw you, the day I had, or the day I had you, or whatever, is the day I knew like what my purpose in life was."
Yeah, she's
And
like,
he goes, and then he goes, like, she keeps ranting for a bit, and then he goes, "Well, I mean, you had the same thing with Chloe, right?" And she's like, "Yeah, yeah, that, yeah, uh-huh."
yeah, she says I. It was something along the lines of like, I don't love anyone more than you, and then he's
Mhm.
like, what about your daughter? And then she's like, oh
Yeah,
yeah, her too. I'm like, ma'am.
exactly.
And
It's
which the whole point of that is the end of the movie where her like successful proud son sacrifices himself to save the daughter, and then she loses her favorite in favor of, the one
yeah.
she's been ignoring the whole time. So it really turns the tables there for the mom.
It's a really good like final scene as well because like
It really is.
they're sitting because they're sitting there and like they're leaving the house. They're moving out obviously because why the hell would you want to live there anymore? And like the mom finally starts sensing it,
Yeah,
and she goes to see the mirror, and she sees her son and just loses it. Like
yeah,
she is, which also again completely continuous. And even better is that they scrub him from the shot eventually because she
yeah,
sees him, she breaks down, the rest of the family runs in, and like at one point, one of them blocks him in the mirror, and then when it goes away, he's gone.
yeah,
And it's so well done, and I like how the end of the movie, because the movie starts in this house. Like you do not leave the confines of this house through the whole movie until that moment. Because after his family, you can see his family is like together,
yeah,
like they're hugging her and everything, and they're all like they are together. That's when he like backs out the front door and like raises and like ascends or whatever
yeah.
however you want to interpret it. He can move on, and it's so
It's
good. Like the scene,
literally, it's what Here was trying to do.
real,
This movie succeeds where Here horribly, miserably failed.
yeah. Like and like there were so like we were talking about like the big things that make sense.
Hmm.
That once you know that he's the spirit, but like there are so many little things. Like the one that I
Yeah,
came up with where it's like he's tidying up for his sister, like and just kind of putting him off to the side. But like whenever she's like changing or you see her like getting intimate with the killer guy, because that's how he gets into the house and gets her alone, like he averts his eyes.
yeah. Because why would you want to watch that?
Well, exactly. Like it's very it's very interesting because there are also moments where it's almost like he goes to sleep.
Yeah,
So like because his spot is he like stays in her closet.
yeah.
And that's
That's
it
that's
because I guess that's the
that's
room, well, that's the room he died in basically.
yeah. Like that's where the movie starts, is him like waking up in the closet there. So
Oh.
it's a really interesting movie. Highly recommend. I'd say we move on into the rankings here and clock this one in. What
Yeah,
do you think?
I don't have much more else to say. Like
Okay.
it's just amazing. It's I yeah. Go ahead.
All right. I'm going to give this a very, very strong 9 out of 10. It is a very low key, slow burn movie, but the ending and the execution and the recontextualization of the entire film really, really pays off for it. It is a excellent drama movie, and it completely succeeds where movies like Here fail in the kind of perspective and point of view manipulation of the cinematography, where it's like, oh, it's all from the point of view of this, where some movies flop with that, but this absolutely nails it. And the family drama, everything that's going on with the family outside the ghost is interesting in its own right. Like, I was never bored with any of their conversations. There was always something of substance that they were talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And it was very, very good, and I highly recommend it.
Yeah, I'm going to give this movie a very high 9 as well. Like I which is shocking for me because a majority of this movie I spent at like a 6. Like I was like, oh, the cinematography, like I was like the substance of the movie is kind of bland and I'm
Oh,
not
the
liking it or
substance.
whatever. Oh, the substance. But it but then the cinematography was like really really good and I really liked it, but that ending and like completely changing everything and all the shit I found boring and not important all made sense. It just shot it up. The only reason why it's not a 10 is because of how much of a slow burn it is. Like the slow burn, I'm not going to say it's not worth it. It is absolutely worth it. It's just if you go into this movie expecting what you think you're going to, what it's billed as literally on Google, you will be extremely bored until the ending. Well, I don't want to say extremely bored till the ending because it does pick up eventually. But
Yeah.
like you will be deeply confused and you'll be like, man, this just sucks. I would not be surprised if I look at the reviews for this movie and there are people that say they walked out halfway through. I would not be surprised at that, honestly. Like it's not saying it's bad, it's just not billed correctly. And
That's true.
that is enough to make it not a 10. Like they're not properly explaining what it is.
True. All right. Moving on to our final film of the night, we have Brave the Dark from Angel Studios.
When Mr. Dean discovers one of his students has been living out of his car and thrown into jail, he decides to bail him out. Determined to curb Nate's self-destructive behavior, Mr. Dean discovers a host of secrets that are slowly tearing Nate apart.
Yeah. So I said this immediately walking out of this. This was a fucking after school special movie if it actually took itself seriously. You know those
Oh,
things
absolutely.
you know those things where there's like, "Hi, I'm edgy high schooler. I'm going to drink and then drive." And then there's one kid who's just like, "Oh, come on, Charles. That's a terrible idea," like where it's just like, "Hey kids, be cool, stay in school, don't
Yeah.
do drugs." Movie. But it's like that, but it actually takes itself really seriously and rather darkly in a lot of
Oh
places.
yeah.
There was one
It's
there was one scene in the beginning when he revealed that he was been living out of his car the whole time. He's like, "Hey, you gave me a candy bar in class. That was the first food I had in 3 days." And he's like, "Why do you think I joined the track team? So I can get a shower?" And I'm like, man,
yeah.
joined a whole extracurricular activity, like a competitive sport, just so he can get a shower every day. I'm like, that is
Which is
crazy
which
dark.
is insane to me as well because because picking that as his sport as well is just like because it's one where you obviously you're gonna get sweaty so you have like the showers available to you but you're also like it's a high calorie burning sport
It
and if he's
is.
not eating that's crazy
Yeah.
like uh this movie also did a trope of a character that is not used very often anymore, and I love it. And it's the teacher that has taught everyone. I
Mhm.
love the teacher that knows the names of all his students and everything. Granted, that may be because I grew up watching Boy Meets World, and like Mr. Feeney is one of those characters. He's the teacher on the show, and he's
Okay.
one of those characters where just like a really good teacher is one that leaves a lasting effect.
Yeah.
And this is taking that to the next level. Because not only does he try to, like, help him out by, like, taking him into his house so he can go back to school, like, he basically essentially adopts him.
He did, yeah. He took custody of him, and then
Yeah.
by the end of the movie, the kid changes his last name.
That, oh my god. Oh.
Oh, now
I'm so happy.
Isaac gonna cry again.
I'm so happy we saw this movie first, actually. Like, mainly because if we had just ended with this, like, I would probably be in tears thinking about
Isaac was
movie.
Markiplier crying throughout the whole movie. He was just bawling his eyes out.
Well, the last 20 minutes, I had tears in my eyes for the whole thing. Like, I
Yeah.
did. It was
Dude,
extremely powerful.
when he starts like going through like what he saw as a kid, I was like, "Damn, this is really dark." And then I'm like, "Oh yeah, it's Angel Studios. They also made Sound of Freedom and Sound of Hope. So, oh yeah, they do a lot of really dark child abuse stuff and
Well, because that's which is important, like not shying away from issues.
yeah, because like, hey, this is really bad, and like, look at this,
It really
and then, oh my
helps.
god, and then they show you like the hope and light and positivity that comes after the darkness, after you brave the dark, so to speak.
It's so good, and like those scenes, like it had a scene that happens in every movie like this, where uh the character that's trying to help the person like seemingly gives up on them, or there's something
Yeah.
there, like the big slide back, the big upset
Mhm.
that kind of tips everything to the other end. And it was like the fact, like, so he threw a party. Well, he didn't throw a party. He invited his friends over. His friends invited friends, and it took place in like the late 80s. So like if one kid hears about a party, it's gonna travel till everyone fucking shows up.
Dial them
So
up on the rotary and let everyone know.
so like it goes out of control, and he's like trying to get him to stop. Eventually they bust a beer keg downstairs, and it's spewing beer straight up into the air, and he just yells at everyone to get out, and his friend that he invited over just went, party at my place, and they all just bail. And so like he's sitting there trying to clean up everything when Mr. Dean gets home. Like the disappointment in his face is palpable, and you
Yeah.
can see him try to explain. And then when Mr. Dean like just is like, you know what, you don't care, you don't, like, I'm trying to help you, and you don't see it, and you don't care. And he's like,
He
I just need you
literally
to get
called him
out.
stupid, like right to your face. It was like, you're too stupid to get. I'm like, damn,
Yeah.
bro.
And then him finding out about what happened, or at least like what the papers said happened, which,
Yeah, that
by
scene
the
was
way,
fucking cold.
like, yeah, that whole thing is cold. Shitty newspaper,
Yeah,
because it literally states in there that like she died in a car accident. Like it says that she died in a car accident. It said tragic accident.
I believe it said incident.
Oh, it did? Okay, my
Yeah,
bad. I was wrong then. That's my bad. But still, like, okay, so that was just the thing that his grandpa and grandma
yeah,
told
and
him to do.
even if like they would have gotten most of their information from the grandma and grandpa anyway, so that wouldn't
Yeah,
be on the
but like,
newspaper.
oh my gosh, like, imagine witnessing your own mother's murder and your father's suicide, and then having the only people that you have been remanded into custody of, the people that you are now supposed to trust, sit there and call you a liar and tell you that no, they died in a car accident. Like,
Making
you
up
can't say that
stories.
stuff. And the whole thing of like, you can't let people know what your father did because they'll think that you are just like him. And by telling him that, he started to end up like his dad.
Yeah, because
Like,
his dad
oh,
got like really violent and like killed his wife over some other guy. Like literally, if I can't have her, no one can type beat.
yeah.
And then you saw Nate doing that as well. Like when he lost his girlfriend, and then some other kid was going out with her, he started fucking assaulting him, and it was
What's
like,
even crazier
man,
is I may be just like confusing faces, but I'm pretty sure like cuz after he leaves Mr. Dean's house, he goes to his friend's house where they're throwing the party. And like, is his old girlfriend there? Is that who that was
yeah,
that he was macking on?
yeah.
Yeah, that's fucked.
Yeah,
Like his
his best
buddy.
friend was making out with his ex girlfriend, and he just got up and left. And I'm like, ooh, good. 'Cause he
Yeah, I'm just
absolutely
like,
could have
"Oh my
fucking
god."
murdered his friend.
Oh yeah, that's where I thought that was gonna go, where he was just gonna do it, but then he's just like, you know what?
He got up and
He
walked out,
doesn't
and I was like,
fucking.
damn, right on.
And then he walked to a bridge, and you went like,
And
wait,
then, oh
no, no,
wait,
no,
yeah,
no,
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 wait,
no.
wait, this is arguably worse.
Yeah, uh, like that. Like the actor who played the kid did a very good job.
Yeah,
I think he did.
he was most people would recognize him as Henry Bowers from 2017. The bully with the mullet
Yeah,
who kills his dad with a knife in his neck. Yeah, he was the kid here, and he did a
yeah. He's also
phenomenal job. He did an
yeah.
amazing
He
job.
did. He absolutely did. And like, what's even crazier to me is that like, I mean, I know this guy that he was Henry Bowers in the It movie, but I only know that because I follow him on TikTok. And that was kind of cool to see someone that I've been following for a while. Like, he just makes drinks, but like to see someone that I knew was an actor like actually get a job acting, and that was kind of cool. What's
Yeah,
even crazier, what's the thing that always blows my mind about these Angel Studios movies is the budget on them. The budget on them is always so low. Unless they, you know, get a lot of funding. This only had a budget of like $200,000.
damn.
Yeah, especially with some of the scenes they shot, like him just like suspended in the water.
Oh my god, that shot was beautiful, and like all the the bubbles like forming on his like face and hands and skin, like
Like
oh
they submerged him in water. Like they
yeah,
had to have. Like that is wild. Oh,
yeah,
this
that was
movie
a
was
crazy scene.
so good, so emotionally moving.
Hmm.
I very much enjoyed this movie.
Well, that's why we watch Angel Studios movies because they always hit the nail on the head like that. Yeah, they're kind of like Christmas Miracle movies, but like they're nice and they put like serious work behind them. They're not like cheap Hallmark movies. They are
Oh
like
yeah.
actual talented actors. And can you not do that, Isaac?
Oh sorry. I
They
realized I
are
was catching a camera.
they are actually like pretty decently named talented actors in these films, and they always have like a super positive message, and you always feel yeah, you will cry during the movies, but you always feel better coming out of them. Like
Oh yeah.
they're just
They were
inspiring great films.
That's what it was. It wasn't tears of sadness. I mean, it was like, dang, you felt for him. Like it was really moving, like watching him explain what he saw. But like then the ending of the movie where it literally says that like before it even reveals what he did, like it says he legally changed his name one last time. And then they talk about how Mr. Dean had gone on teaching until he died when he was like 78 years old or something like that. And uh but then they reveal at the end that Nathan had changed his last name to Dean. And
Mhm.
oh, it's so moving. And I can't I can't even, like, the
Yeah.
words don't exist. I can't describe. The only way you can it's just the only word I have is moving.
Yeah. I agree. Um. All right. With that being said, let's move on to the rankings here.
Yeah. I'm gonna give this movie a pretty solid, like, 8 out of 10.
Fair enough.
Like it was very well written, very beautifully moving. Normally, if I'm crying during a movie, I will give it a 10 out of 10. But, like, I mean, a majority of the cast was unknown, and, like, sometimes the acting was a little
Yeah.
off.
The like rando characters that are in the hallway and have like 3 lines. Really not great at acting. But the two like main characters were nailing what they were doing.
Oh, absolutely. What's even crazier is the guy that plays the main character, he's British.
Yeah.
And
Wait,
it's
what?
like a very good. Yeah,
Excuse
he's
me?
British or Australian.
Australian.
Sorry.
How dare you? I thought you knew this man. I thought you called him on the phone. What a disappointment. How dare you? He's gonna send you a text that says lose my number. We're not friends no more. Isaac ruined a beautiful friendship with this man, and now he's laughing. And he's laughing. You ruined your friendship with Henry
Anyway,
Bowers and you're laughing.
anyway, the while it is an extremely moving movie, and it's a very inspiring story, like, it's I normally go on my emotions a lot, but it's also a fairly, like, basic story as well.
Yeah. I'm also going to give it an 8 out of 10. Angel Studios movies, they usually never dip below a 7 out of 10 for me because
Oh yeah.
they're always like really well written if nothing else. And this one is no exception to that. Like it is very well written. It's a beautiful story, expertly acted by the two main leads, and it is just a moving, inspirational time all around.
Yeah, Christian movies usually rarely miss the mark. They Okay, let me rephrase that. Made like
Let's
even
just say
what
Angel
was it?
Studios movies rarely miss the mark.
Okay, that's fair. I'm thinking of, like, the Kendrick brothers and stuff as well. Like,
Well,
they're
them too, but
like
there
they
are a lot,
usually
and a lot of them are bad.
okay, fair. All right.
Um, so that'll wrap up the podcast on our end. Isaac, what kind of special treat do we have next time?
So next time is gonna be great. We are going to try and have the next podcast out. Like, normally we don't give you guys dates on when the podcast's out. We're gonna try
Mhm.
and get this next podcast out on Valentine's Day because it is a Valentine's Day themed episode. We have an amazing lineup. We have 3 movies that have beautifully lined up to perfectly have a Valentine's Day episode. And shockingly enough, none of them are romance movies.
Ah,
we have
we love to
we
see
will
it.
be having absolutely. We will be having the Jack Quaid movie Companion. We love Jack Quaid in this house. The action movie Love Hurts, starring the dude that played, I only really remember that he was Short Round in the Indiana Jones movies. Uh and then we have a movie that Kellen has had a very good feeling about, the new slasher flick Hard Eyes.
It's
Uh
made by the same people who made Thanksgiving, and the kills in that were absolutely amazing, and I'm hoping
Oh yes.
that we get something out with that. I am here. I am absolutely here if we are coming out with holiday slasher series. Like we got Thanksgiving and now we got Hard Eyes, and if we come up with like just anything else, I'm here for it. I'm here for it. This is gonna make the
Absolutely.
most epic box set ever.
Real, like actually. It's been a while since we have been supremely excited for one single movie day like outgoing. And I
Yeah.
am so excited to bring that to you guys.
Awesome. Anyways, guys, that'll do it for us here. Be sure to subscribe because it always keeps us going back to the theaters and bringing these videos back here to you. Be sure to check our letterbox accounts on screen now. And until next time, guys, that's a wrap.
Roll credits.